You're watching TVC News Hour. The House of Representatives has passed the Proceeds of Crime Bill, further empowering anti-graft agencies to confiscate proceeds of assets acquired through crimes. The bill, which was sponsored by the Chairman House Committee on Financial Crimes, Kayode Oladele, creates a central agency with the primary duty to manage the proceeds recovered from illegally acquired properties. Legal practitioner Ebere Okonkwo joins us to discuss this development. Thank you for joining us on the News Hour. Now, how would this bill assist the government in its fight against corruption?
Well, the truth is the bill is well conceived in terms of its purpose in going beyond the charade of dragging people who have plundered resources to court, and the drama that just happens in court doesn't go far enough to recovery of assets. The real deal behind the bill is recovery of assets, which is an important part of that whole process. If not, what we will have is we celebrate that someone's been docked, but at the end of the day, they go back and enjoy the proceeds of the crime that they have committed. In the sense of that objective, I believe that the bill has a lot to offer in terms of the corruption fight.
Ebere, tell us, what's the legality in passing a bill that the president has essentially passed as an executive order?
You see, these are some of the challenges we have with the way government is presently being run. You know, the challenge of the lack of harmony in the operations between the executive and the legislature. You know, if we are intent on fighting corruption and the same bill is before the National Assembly, and then there is an executive order to that effect, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense that we cannot find common ground between the executive and the legislature. It is something of a worry to those of us who watch this, the mounted fight against corruption. We cannot allow the battles between the executive and the legislature deprive us of the opportunity to recover assets that have been, consistently plundered from our nation. Now, I won't go into the legality of an executive order of the nature that the president has passed, but I would think that the easier thing and the more legal thing to do will be to go the route of assenting to a bill as passed by the National Assembly. I will support the assent to a bill passed by the National Assembly rather than an executive order. Yeah.
So are you saying that this bill may not successfully harmonize and consolidate existing legal frameworks?
You see, so even when you review the bill, you come to that conclusion that, again, we are, as a nation, we have gone in the direction of proliferation of agencies. The bill seeks to establish another agency, and this is something of a worry. We have enough of them. We have the EFCC, we have the ICPC, and all that the bill says it will do is a lot of duplication of rules and functions. I'm thinking that of course, there's a need to harmonize that entire framework for the fight against corruption and recovery of assets. But what I see often with governance here is a lot of castle building, okay? And we lose a lot. We're going to set up a full agency now whose functions are already being carried out by other agencies of government. Is there something of a worry in terms of the resource that will now be allocated to this new agency? And we should stand against this. I think that the bill needs rethinking in terms of harmonizing institutions and also legal frameworks. Part of the things that this bill seeks to do is to amend some parts of the EFCC Act, the NDLA Act, the NAPTIP Act. Some of these things we need to sit down again and ask ourselves, do we want one agency or do we want a proliferation of agencies? In the sense of the scarceness of resources in Nigeria now, do we want to proliferate agencies? But one thing is clear, we need to have an agency that manages the entire process of fighting corruption and recovery of assets. That would be my opinion on it.
All right. The bill is to empower the EFCC and the ICPC, basically the anti-graft agencies, how much limitations have we had in terms of criminal forfeiture here?
Well, one of the challenges that we have with respect to the operations of these agencies is the lack of independence in the operations of these agencies. And you might want to argue that and say a lot of things, but like as we lawyers say, justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done. There's a lot of allegations of the fact that the anti-corruption fight is one-sided. I wouldn't go into all that. The point remains to be made that we need to make our institutions that fight corruption to be independent. Independence is everything. How, for instance, do we get the courts to operate with such independence? Can we not replicate that in terms of these anti-corruption agencies? Let's look at mimicking the same appointment procedures that attend to judges and judicial bodies, and use the same process to appoint people who lead these agencies so that we can secure their independence. Okay, and we have courts giving orders against federal government. And it's hard to find anti-corruption agencies taking steps with regard to people who are friends of the government. And it is something that we should now begin to work, to resolve. But this is the greatest hindrance to recovery of assets. This is the greatest hindrance to the anti-corruption fight. The independence of the bodies that are saddled with responsibility for the fight.
Ebere Okonkwo, thanks for your time on the News Hour.
Thank you very much for having me.
And moving on now, some members of the All Progressives Congress